Thank you very much, Zoom lady. All right. So welcome everyone to our quarter 3 with our solution meeting, I guess, with I Have Wings Breast Cancer Foundation. We have Monica and Kelsey with us today to talk a little bit about the solutions, what they liked, what they saw, what they didn't, maybe why things wouldn't work, and then to award the solution. So first, I just wanted to thank them for being part of this process. I hope they enjoyed the experience receiving the solutions. And I want to thank all the women that submitted the solutions. I know it's a lot of time and it's a lot of effort, and you have your day jobs and you have your evening jobs with your families and your homes. And so I just want to thank you again for all the work that you do for the Women's Think Tank. It honestly, it does. I keep hearing women or charities rather come back to me and say, oh my gosh, that really did help us. An example of this is Megan Jackson from Master Provisions reached out to me not too long ago for our a charity for next year. And she was talking through that and she said, I just loved what the Women's Think Tank did for me and I wanted to share that. And I know so many other organizations that would benefit. And then she was talking about Roger Babick, who is the director of Master Provisions, and he just spoke and thanked the Women's Think Tank and Haley, who came up with their 1994 Connects, which was the solution, thanked us for our program and for our ideas. And so I just was really thankful for that and that we were able to help them. And so again, so it's all you guys. I wouldn't have a Women's Think Tank without the women. So thanks again. So I am now going to give it over to Monica and Kelsey to kind of, so just as a refresher, it hasn't been that long, but if you were wondering, if you couldn't remember, the challenge was regarding I Have Wings and the amount of jewelry that these guys had that they had been receiving. And so they needed some help with what to do with all this jewelry. And so they received, I believe we gave them 6 applications or 6 submissions, 5 or 6, one of them. And so they reviewed those with a team from I Have Wings. And so I'm going to let Monica and Kelsey talk a little bit about that.
I'll start and let Kelsey add in. So what I grabbed 5 people. So Janet and I were part of it, but as well, I grabbed 3 more people. One was the person that does head up jewelry for us, because I felt like she would be a vital person to read through these and what she thought maybe would work for her and so forth. And then Kelsey and another board member to be involved as outsiders to see what would be the best for us. So we gathered and I started my meeting like, okay, so let's just go with the tops. What are everybody's favorites? So we didn't so we could just get it down to where we were and which ones to talk about. So we had applicant 1, 2, and 3 is the discussion that we had overall. And those were the ones that came to the top of people. And so some discussion points, just to kind of understand our thought process. Janet, they were afraid that the processing fee that was recommended in one of the solutions, that it might come across negative to the client or to the person making the donation. And I'd love to hear some feedback from a different point of view, or that when they're making the donation, the suggestion was to, like, on our page, our jewelry page, to say, like, here's all the instructions on how to donate, but then also ask for a money donation to cover the cost. I thought it was a great idea. They didn't think it would be very receptive to people because they were actually, their donation, they thought the donation was the jewelry instead of a monetary donation. So we had a lot of great discussions, but I think there was a lot of ideas that we could spin off of one of that concept behind it of maybe narrowing down, and I've kind of worked through this with Janet of what she gets a lot of phone calls regarding jewelry, which I have no idea why, like where to donate. I was like, okay, let's just take this and like modify our webpage of let's nail down some different points to help people guide what to do and what we expect of the jewelry and how we do it, to help. So that was, there's some good talking points on that. They wanted to look into the auction website, thebetterworld.org. That was a suggestion. They thought they really wanted to get into that more. And even the basket parties idea, that's something that we may turn around and get people to help clean things, or it was effective for Janet. She gave a bag of jewelry to her cousin in California, for an example, and all of her friends loved it. So bring a bag and get everybody in your family to buy the jewelry to help us get rid of it and that type of thing as well. And then the biggest one, do you want me to announce our winner now, or as I'm talking, or how do you want me?
Don't you love it when you're talking and you're like, oh wait, nobody can actually hear me. Yeah, let's go ahead and announce the winner.
Okay, and before I go, Kelsey, do you have anything to add before we talk about our winner?
No, I mean, like, you pretty much covered all of it, the top 3 that we had discussed, and I feel like we got a little bit out of all of the 5 that you guys sent us, that those are things that we could definitely fuel from. The ones with the, even the second one with getting more online and stuff like that, we love that idea, and we would love to get more online, but I think a lot of us agreed is that our fellowship's just not quite there yet to where, to have
like a Facebook Live event or something.
Yeah, that we would have the following that they would really come and join, and we need to get that up higher for those ideas to really work well for us, I feel like. So, but yeah.
Kelsey did some research compared to like some of our competitors, if it's the Pink Ribbon Girls or the Chicks for Chucks, based on what their followers are versus ours on some channels and so forth like that. And I first off didn't say thank you. That was wrong of me to not even start with saying thank you for your time that you guys put into this. That it's most appreciated from all of us. So my apologies for not saying that first. But we did come to a winner, and whomever was the applicant that submitted the third one, I don't know a name, of course. So
applicant 3 was Lindsay Conger.
Okay, so congratulations.
Oh, thank you guys so much.
Yes, they really, actually Michelle, who runs our jewelry, she really caught on to the city flea idea, just because her words were somewhere consistent. Somebody could find us on a weekly basis, or how often that they go, that they know that they can find the jewelry at that specific spot all the time. And I kind of correlated it to when I ran the spring bling, that my goal was to have it at the same place around the same time every year. It's that consistent. Oh, it's this time of the year, it's at receptions, or it's at this place, and people will just start to remember it. So that, and even we're not sure how the Girl Scouts would work with the future, but the idea, it's something we certainly want to entertain with girls. We talked about how we could teach them crafts, be part of their meetings. My daughter was a Girl Scout, so I was trying to understand what that would look like, how we could be part of their meetings, and how to start to get involved with them in that case. And then of course, the worst part about the whole jewelry is how heavy it is. And that Janet can't carry that much, considering her, being a survivor and so forth. And Michelle, her either, and that's her arch nemesis, is that she just hates to carry the jewelry. And I was like, well, there's actually an place where they need somebody to help unload. I'm like, hello, the muscle, go to the muscle. that they can just start unloading. And we've had a couple gyms and just do fundraisers for us. And I was like, we've got the contacts. Let's just certainly start rubbling that up in some different ways. And so I'd love to know some more feedback from Kelsey if you want to add anything.
Yeah, this was out of all of them, this one was my favorite. I love the idea of getting the millennials involved. I think that we have a good following, but we do have a lot of, we'll say, older followers. And I think we need to get this younger generation involved. I mean, they're a couple years behind me, but even still, I mean, getting that younger generation involved and moving that forward, that is huge. I mean, the millennials right now, they're into everything. I mean, donations and, you know, supporting things and driving things and posting things and everything. If they get those involved, if we can get them more involved, it'll get us out there more and they'll speak about us more. So I loved this idea, and the food trucks, every idea that she threw out there, it was wonderful. I loved it. So yeah, that's all I've really got on this one.
I'm going to do two things. First, I am going to pull up Lindsay's submission. And second, I'm going to go into the other room really fast because I forgot to bring the cute little basket that they provided for the winner with I Have Wings swag and stuff. And so first I'm going to share my screen, which I can do now. And I'm going to pull this up and I'm just going to kind of, I can see you guys too. And then I'm going to pull this up really quick and I'm going to go grab that basket real quick. Sorry about that, guys.
60s or early 70s. It's like this.
All right. Sorry, I have to put my glasses on too because I'm getting older and I can't see the screen. So can you guys see me too or yeah? So
Amanda, if you want to put the screen on page 3, that's kind of where we took off of.
Let me do that first, and then I will show the little prize, the prize that you guys gave. So page 3. Let's see. So this one, the City Flea and the Girl Scouts.
Yes.
All right. So, so this is where, and so Lindsay, maybe, Lindsay, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. So maybe you can talk a little bit about, where you were at when you had some of these ideas, kind of maybe elaborate a little bit on anything.
About restaurant.
Yeah. So when I kept thinking about it and just kept coming back to like maybe changing the not demographics so much, but who do you really want volunteering and supporting you and just moving forward. I've only been to the City Flea a couple of times. It's held in Washington Park downtown, but it's such an amazing event. There's just all these vendors there with tents, and they have a lot of it's small businesses, but they just do a lot of like community, like grassroots efforts type thing. And just like they're advocating for a lot of different things. And I just thought it was a natural connection. You see a lot of the same people there over and over again, which I thought it would be helpful just getting like your name and what you guys have. And I kept coming back to the jewelry piece because I really felt like that was one of the biggest issues. Like, how do you get rid of like this really nice thing that you're getting inundated with? But then what do you do with this? It creates a problem for you guys. So I really didn't know like the Girl Scout connection. I have all boys, so unfortunately like don't have anyone in troops, but you see them every year, right? They're everywhere. And I just kept thinking, they're always so eager to support really great causes like this one. And how can we partner you guys? Can they come pick up some jewelry to like bling out their cookie stands? Can they quote unquote sell it? And I just think, people want to support them. People want to support breast cancer events and, charities. So I just thought there's an opportunity there. So I didn't really flesh that out a whole bunch, but I just thought it was a nice partnering event because, they're the future. Those are girls coming up. So I just thought it would be a good marriage. And then I am a CrossFit kind of dropout. I've done it forever. But then with the pandemic, I took a little bit of a break. But I did my gym was in Fort Wright. And literally every month we were talking about who do we want to support this month and how can we use functional fitness to support them. So we cleaned out sheds and, we've done all types of different things. And even though I don't go there like super regularly anymore, I know they're always on board for really great causes.
Those,
For this CrossFit, I'm sorry to interrupt.
no.
Is there like specific times that somebody would be available? I mean, I have one specific spot that they are looking to have some jewelry unloaded from a trailer that it will only be Janet to help to do it. So
Mhm.
I wanted I can reach out to the gyms that have supported us in the past, but the
Mhm.
specific, we're looking for someone before noon and probably on let me see, like on my notes, hold on a specific day, I can get back to you, but
Yeah, for sure. And I can connect you with that gym. I know they were always organizing things. They have classes all day. So they could probably even organize, like their 9 a.m. class to do something. But I can connect you with the person there. And then it was actually someone from CrossFit that organized a bunch of girls to go probably to the last event you guys had at receptions before the pandemic. So I know there's already a lot of buy-in for your charity already at the gym. So I think it's
what's
a
the gym
natural-
called?
It's Fort Wright CrossFit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the date I just found my notebook is Friday, October 22nd. They are coming back from the funeral convention and Janet needs a trailer unloaded.
Okay.
I do know
Yeah.
that. I was like, wait, I know this date. We need somebody. So I was like, hello, we just need to ask for some people to help us out.
Mhm.
So I can connect you, Monica, with a couple people there.
Okay. And then maybe they can even help us on a regular basis or be the
Yeah.
contact to help move all that stuff. Or even help filter it out and take it to people and so forth,
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Any other insight or anybody else? I don't know how.
Yeah, I let Lisa, if she wants to chime in. I think we lost Jamie, but I love those ideas. They're really good. I love the Girl Scouts and how you talked about those, those are the women of the future. And so I love getting them involved. I think that's really cool. And I love the blinging out their Girl Scout little booths or whatever. And then the CrossFit, just very, very good ideas. And so I was going to say, if for some reason, if something can't work, Monica, always let me know if you have like unloading. I can always reach out to churches or men's groups that maybe I know a lot of times churches have men's groups, or, or even ladies that would want to help. And so many hands make light work. So if you had a group that could get together, whether it's a gym group or not, they could probably knock it out, pretty quick. And so if the CrossFit gym doesn't work out, let me know. And then I can always try to see if I can find you another group, or if we can, put our heads together and try to find you a group to help unload.
Okay. There is some, even I'll follow up with them, but even this weekend we might be able to use, I know it's short notice, but we're part of the little treasure sale that's going to happen next week down in Latonia. The little kids sale that's at the old Burlington Coat Factory. So it's a couple days. So I don't know how much she's unloading or what. I've always trusted somebody else to run something like this. So personally, I haven't been too involved in the process behind it.
Mhm.
But I think that's the other thing that we've taken out of this is getting a process in place and taking something from every bit of this, all 5 of these. There's something we can take away, at least one thing from each of them, or something to consider, or how we can make it work differently in our foundation.
Mhm.
Do you, for the city flea, Lindsay, you said you've just been there once. Do you have any contact, or do you just think we just kind of reach out online and see what kind of that works?
Yeah, I've only been there just as, a consumer.
Okay.
When I was like getting all this together, I do have a couple of names. I don't know them personally, but I can get you that contact information too.
Okay. That sounds good.
Yeah. Something that every charity we've worked with has always said, while there may be one really good fit, there's always little nuggets within each one. And the good thing about this process is all of these ideas are now yours. And these women have given these ideas to you to use whenever they come up, and so they'll be in your back pocket and you can use them whenever you need them. So I'm glad that there were things that will help you and going forward. And so yeah, so as far as right now, it's just kind of a little bit more time to talk about implementation, about I'm looking back and I'm scrolling here to look at maybe some other ways to engage millennials. And maybe Lisa, do you have any thoughts? Anything popping into your head? I'm calling you out because you're like on my screen right here and I can see you.
Yeah, no, I think the city flea, that's a great idea. That's a really, really cool event down in Washington Park. My husband and I have been several times. It's super casual, but it's all like small businesses. So if you can, even get a tent there, once a year, some regularity, I think that would be a great way to just, get your name out and, increase awareness. I think, a younger crowd is probably, that's kind of the target market for the city flea. Again, supporting local small businesses, people who make their own, wares, whether it's jewelry or I know I've bought like prints, like local prints of like states and, things like that. They're really cool for like gifts, really great, unique gifts. So I think the city flea is a great just opportunity to really zero in on that target of if you're going for kind of that younger crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great.
I keep muting myself and then wanting to talk. The other thing that caught my eye was, because I'm a FabFitFun boxer, is even that idea. We've done that in a smaller scale, but just by selling it at like the spring bling, we've done mystery bags, or those always fly off the shelves, but something on a regular basis that, I think these ideas that we could see further down the line. Currently in the position that we have right now, I think we just need to get in some processes and get some of the inventory out the door, and how do we get this managed on a regular basis. And so I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah, I think
It's
that
coming
was
up.
Jody. I think that was Jody's, from what
That
I
was,
remember. Yeah, I remember reading that one as part of the box. And I thought
yeah,
that was kind of a interesting idea as well. Now, you're all volunteer run, except for you're consulting, right, Monica?
right. I
Okay.
do more of the operational side of things, though,
Right.
like the big parts of social and
Mhm.
keeping up with the website. I do manage the scholarships, in that case,
Mhm.
helping with emailers, and we use Network for Good right now, and how do we utilize our database that well, as I've learned it more and more. The challenge, though, the one about the internet or being like live and Facebook and so forth, or even putting it online, because it's the price that we've always sold it for $1, the time and energy it would take to take pictures of all that stuff is very time consuming. And we've talked to our board about it. And the concern the board has from like an accounting and legal side, they were like, well, what if these people ask, where is it coming from? Or if it's a designer piece, it's just kind of, we're running a fine line when we start to put it out there, trying to sell it in that case. Does that make sense? Because we do get people, like Janet said, Justice was sending jewelry to us. We have designers that send their actual name, their stuff to us. And even if we get Michael Kors donated, where is it at? Tracing it back and the design, tagging the designer, those things are kind of fine lines that you're running.
Right. It is. I can see that. Because I was also thinking too and reading some of these, and it's like, okay, well, the more donations, the higher price you could get for some of the really quality stuff, the more money you can get, you could pay somebody to actually do all this. And so, but then it's like, but yeah, there's a lot of logistics as far as the people that have donated, and then are they wanting their stuff sold? And then, so I understand all of that.
We had a discussion about limiting, like telling people like what we want and what we wouldn't want. We also had somebody was devil's advocate and was like, well, what if we put all these regulations on it and then people aren't going to go through their jewelry, and maybe we're not going to find the gems that we do find? Because you think about when you're cleaning out your stuff, you just kind of like, okay, you're just like 1, 2, 3, here's your bag, and you don't know really what's in it.
Yeah.
Those where we find our gems. Those are where we find the 14 karat golds and all even the diamonds that we have found people have donated, that are worth lots more than they realize that they're donating. So we're afraid by putting too many limitations that we would deter people from actually donating. Does that make sense? These are just some things that came up in conversation in that. So I was just wanted to touch on some other things that people had, maybe why we didn't choose that idea behind that.
Well, and then going forward, what I will do is I always touch base with all the women to see going forward if there was a specific charity that really resonated with them, and then if they would like to help going forward with maybe some of the specific ideas that we provide as an implementation of that, but also just whether it's board going forward, board work, or whether it's just volunteer time or whatever that may be. We've placed a lot of women as volunteer capacity with the charities that we serve. So, so that I will definitely get with you about that, and we'll see if there's some way.
We've always, just as an FYI, we've always looked for somebody in the marketing field. That is not my expertise. It's something that I just learn and have learned over the time, and taught myself the importance of working in retail in that world. But just to put it out there, if somebody, that's something that we've always lacked on our board, and the variety of people that we have, or in the graphic design idea or in that field.
That is the number one ask.
Interesting.
it really, it's the number one. All of the charities, almost all the charities I talk to, it's because those services are so expensive that's just, they were like, do you know anybody in marketing? Do you know a graphic designer? And so I gotta keep recruiting more marketing people and more graphic designers into the nonprofit world and trying to get more resources that way. So, I see Lindsay now. I actually see her.
I've been holding, I call him a baby, but he's going to be 5 next month, but he's been sitting on my lap. So my husband goes out one Thursday, so his big brother just came and got him. So hello.
Hi.
I would have turned my camera on, but if he has an audience, then he's going to be sticking out his tongue the whole time. And, it becomes the Leo show.
Mhm.
I have a 7-year-old. Kelsey's got a young one too.
Oh,
See.
look.
Yeah, he just kind of
Um,
popped in with me here.
Oh, but
There
he's
you
well
go.
behaved. See, I have like a wild animal.
Oh, mine is too. Oh, my husband. I was like, he's up here like getting ice. I was like, hello, like I told you I have a meeting. Like you could be any louder right now. So yes.
All right. So is there anything else any other ideas, Monica, that that kind of talk through with us, or anything else you want to work through before it's going to be kind of a short call this time.
Yeah, I mean, and we chose Jory to focus on things, but the conversation is just for us looking for, I'm sure you talk about volunteer engagement like crazy,
Mhm.
how to get volunteers more engaged, or contacting them and getting, I was actually, I just started doing a sign up genius for volunteers to help. And it's like pulling teeth to get volunteers. And it's like, I put it on social and it's like, okay, you don't even have to talk to anybody, just sign up, and all we're doing is asking you to stand at a table and do that. Cause there's an event in Erlanger that we're part of this weekend. And then, so volunteer engagement, but also board engagement. We have had our board. We do have, of course, voting officers. We have an executive board that consists of the president, the vice president, the secretary, the treasurer, and then the ED, Janet. So there's 5 people. But then everybody else, then we do have 2 more that would be voting members. And Kelsey, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like there's 7 of them, I think, that are voting. But then the advisory board, and those are people that just have been around for a long time. But how do we get? I want to kind of look at realistic expectations for a board. Like, do you expect everybody to have involvement? Is that a realistic expectation, or is this something that do people just kind of want to come to the board meeting, listen to what's happening, and make a decision and walk away? Like, those are kind of some things I'd love some feedback on.
Lisa, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I've got a little bit of board experience. I think it's really important to set expectations with your board members and prospective board members, and as you're looking for future board members, like what the time commitment is. Some boards that I have been a part of, or have worked for nonprofits, they had a monetary requirement, so board members knew if they were going to join the board that they were going to have to donate at a certain level to that organization. So I don't know all of the ins and outs of boards. I've typically been like the board liaison, like on the organization side, and helping kind of keep bylaws and documentation and all of that. But definitely talking with somebody who can help you create. I don't know if you have bylaws, but some of those things are can help you with those expectation setting. And I'm an HR person, so it's all about setting expectations, whether it's employees or kids or people in general. People want to know what the expectation is, and then you can try to hold them accountable to that. So if I know that if I'm going to go on a board and it's going to require a $5,000 contribution each year, that's going to have to be a personal decision, right, that I make in terms of, okay, can I do that? Do I want to do that? Am I passionate enough to be a part of that? Or, do I not have the budget to do that this time? So, so that's kind of what I would say to that. Is it's all about expectation setting and really having some strong leadership around that too.
Mhm.
What is your thought, though, on the opposite side of that, those that are, because we are so volunteer driven, that they feel that their time is their money? How do you?
So maybe you have a monetary option, and then you have okay, if you're not able to contribute at this level, then we expect 100 hours of volunteer service, or yeah, I'm just throwing out random numbers. I have no idea what's reasonable for your organization, but and this to me kind of goes back to the millennial thing. You know, if that's kind of your target group, I think it's all about diversifying, right? I think like I've been involved with United Way, and their big thing is, you know, give, advocate, and volunteer. And so each person, even in this mythical millennial group, you know, each one of us knows, okay, I'm more willing to maybe make a donation than I am to come to a volunteer event. Whereas, you know, Lindsay might be more prone to want to go volunteer with her family versus give a donation. So I think as you're thinking about like if millennials are your target group, like I think it's all about diversifying and not just saying, okay, millennials want to do fundraisers or millennials just want X. Like, let's be honest, we're all in different places no matter what age we are. And so the key is giving everybody, no matter what, an option to support your organization, whether that's volunteering or giving money or helping you advocate and get, you know, the word out and create awareness. So I wouldn't try to box yourself in, if that makes sense. And I think especially to that millennial group, everybody is going to be on a different page in terms of how they want to support an organization.
Yeah.
Or
I was just going to ask Lindsay if she had any thoughts on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to add, I don't have any board experience, but I work in a nonprofit community action. So we're very board driven. We have lots of boards, you know, for our agency, and we're under the Head Start umbrella. So we have a policy council, which functions as a board. And something we talk about a lot is the size. I know some agencies have certain requirements or certain, you know, demographics they have to hit. But I think when we're talking about like a volunteer, like charity, like, do you have like too many cooks in the kitchen sometimes? Do you not have enough opinions? Do you guys feel good in that way?
We definitely have, my mother is always the one that is the opposite side of things. She always is.
Isn't she though?
Devil's advocate, right?
She totally is, and she's not afraid to speak her mind. And her, you know, she was the very first like president. I mean, it's kind of nice to follow in her footsteps, and I think, you know, and that type of thing. And Kelsey, I'm sorry that I haven't told you this personally, but it is hitting home for us right now. We are being affected by this in my own home. And you guys are strangers, so my mom will be okay with this, but it is hitting her right now. That we've recently learned that she has breast cancer. And so Kelsey, I'm sorry that you're hearing it this way.
It's okay.
But it just kind of, it goes, we do have one person that's always, but I do think we have 3 men. And I feel like on my point of view is how hard I worked. They've been my best advocates of like understanding the value behind what I have put into the foundation. So the challenge that we have is those that kind of like linger around and that really want to say they're part of the board, but they don't do anything about it. You know, how do you kind of like kick people off? Because we don't have an advisory board.
Oh, so there's no terms. There's no term limit.
You need term limits.
Yeah, I would completely agree. You need, and it's more of you can put it in that, it's not kicking people off. It's just making room for others that may want to give of their time and getting fresh eyes and fresh opinions, which is good for any organization. And so I think, you know, you can talk to that millennial piece and how you're trying to get more youth on the board and trying to, you know, I think you can phrase it in a way that people understand and they get it. And then, but then to say, you know, I want to visit this term limit thing, and whether that's, you know, whether that's 2 years, 3 years, whatever makes sense for your board, I think it is very important, especially like you mentioned that with long-term members, you do get to that point of, well, how do we ask? Term limits kind of,
and they're her friends.
Yeah,
they're her friends.
It's tough. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think a lot of that too has to do with we don't have people knocking down our doors to join the board either.
That's correct.
you know, as much as we need the fresh ideas and we need the people to come, they're not coming. So therefore we're kind of, what's the term, stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Mhm.
You know, you want
Yeah.
the fresh ideas, but they're not coming to you to want to join. So we're kind of like stuck where we're at, I feel like.
Well, it
Is
also
that-
might be because you're not really recruiting for your board. You've got your board, because you're not really, maybe like an active board recruitment where you put out, we're looking for new board members. We're rolling some off and we're putting have some new spots and really actively look for some new recruits. And then maybe they would come. Like, I'm pretty sure that I have a pretty big network of women, and I'm pretty sure that I could come up with some amazing ladies that would want to be part of your board. But I didn't know if you were looking for board members. So you always have to kind of push that out to your network, that this is something that we'd really like to see. Let me know if you know of anybody who might want to do it.
And that goes back to expectations, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's a much easier conversation when you're like, okay, cool. Like, so-and-so's reached the end of their term. Then you know that you're going to have a spot opening. Then you can start, like the manager said, that recruitment cycle, or, trying to get the word out about that opportunity. So it lends to like a cycle of, okay, you have people rotating on, but then you also have people rotating off. But everybody is on the same playing field with that, because the term limits are there and they're in place for everybody.
And it might
Certainly.
be a relief. Like, you think it might be hard for some people to kind of like have that conversation, but some people might be relieved. Like, oh, like, like I'm ready for this, but I felt obligated to stay because we didn't have new people. I got rid of one baby and the other dog.
Well, from my point of view, I've been the president for 4 years now. And it has been a challenge from the beginning. And eventually I feel like we were taking the wrong approach about it. And I said to them one meeting, just be proud you're a board member. Just be proud that you're part of I Have Wings and talk about us with people. That's all I'm asking, and if you talk about it, then more people know about it.
Absolutely.
And that's all I ask from people. And that is, just be proud that you're part of the board. And I think that's where we still struggle, just because people's lives are busy, and they are a lot of Janet's friends that are part of the board. And how do you, and we've looked at her to take some of these people off. And I've said, don't feel obligated to stay on the board, guys. I've tried to be blunt that way too, and beat around the bush. And nobody's really wanted to put time limits on things. They're like, oh, we're okay. And it's just harder to bring that person in.
Make it stale too. I mean, you same people having the same conversations, same ideas. You're not getting that fresh, set of eyes like Amanda talked about. So, there's big benefit that comes with rotating people on and off. So you're constantly having fresh eyes and fresh perspectives and ideas. So.
And I think you could probably say, as part of our time with Women's Think Tank, this came up, and, we started investigating, and we have these 5 great candidates that we want to explore, replacing some people or, transitioning some people, and see if there's, any takers. Because I bet you'd be surprised, some people that may want to step down. Wait a minute, we'll be the bad guys.
All right, Kelsey, you're going to help me with this one?
Sure.
I have 2 more board meetings, really 1 more board meeting to run. So as long, and the way that they've got it set up is that to become a voting member, you have to be on the board for 1 year to become a voting member. Does that seem like normal for you guys?
That seems like a long time. I mean, normally if you're on the board, you're able to vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you might have like a waiting period for a technical spot to open up, and during that time, that person knows they're coming onto the board and they're okay with the timing, but they can't vote in that during that time. But once they're on the board, they can vote.
Yeah.
So you don't think the 1 year waiting period is necessary?
No.
I've never been part of a board that has done that. So I'm just not familiar with that arrangement. But so what I have always been is it's what you have your set board, and you can have breakout groups from that board, but your board is kind of it. Now, if you want to have your advisory, like you've got your whole advisory board, but you can't have your executive board, which is your president, your director, your
Vice
chair,
president.
your vice chair, sorry,
CEO.
the word wasn't, so your chair, your vice chair, your president, your secretary, your treasurer. So if you want to have meetings with your executive board, you can, but then your advisory board is just kind of everybody. I've never really been a part of a board where there weren't people that were born.
So we have the executive board,
The
we have a
board-
voting board member, and then we have that because it only consists of 5 people, and then you have voting members, and then you have the advisory board.
It seems like a lot to manage.
Yeah.
So the reason though we set that 1 year stipulation on that is because we had people we had, put in as voting members, and then they stopped
They
coming
never
to
showed
meetings.
up.
And
Yeah.
we didn't have enough people to vote things in because they weren't voting.
Mhm.
Well,
Or
again,
voting members.
that's the expectation on meetings, like, like, okay, if you're a board member, like, we expect monthly attendance or whatever your board,
I feel like we need to make them sign something,
oh, yeah.
Kelsey.
A contract.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no kidding.
You
For
do,
sure.
yeah. They
Do you guys
sign
have
that.
something that you can share? Like
Do you
that
have like a template?
yeah.
I don't.
I might be able to come up with something. I've got my own, I've got storm cells, and then I might have a couple. I'll take a look and see what, and it basically, it's signing your bylaws in essence, that as a board member, here's what's expected of me. I'm going to attend this many meetings. I'm going to do, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And if I don't do X, Y, and Z, then I may be asked to resign from the board, or I may, and so they know, like, I have to come to meetings or I won't be on the board. So if you're passionate about that charity and that organization and the work that they do, and you want to be on the board, then you better show up to meetings.
Right.
So.
No, I like the idea between the monetary versus the volunteer, like one or the other, but maybe put a number on the amount of hours that you need to put into the foundation that would make up to the monetary donation. And would let's say board meetings be considered part of that? Would you guys consider their volunteer being part of the board, go towards those volunteer hours?
I would. Oh, well, I would consider the board, but I mean, you make the hours whatever it is, because they are volunteering their time to be at the board. I mean, every time they come to something for your charity, as opposed to doing something on their own, they're volunteering of their time. So if they spend 2 hours at a board meeting, then they're volunteering just as they would at an event. So, but if you need that board time in addition to them to help out at a booth or something like that, then you would just factor in how much realistically, if you have this many boards and you do this many booths, how much would you need from them?
Yeah.
Or maybe they do one booth vendoring a year, or maybe they do, whatever you need from them. But I would definitely include, but that's me. I would definitely include the board time.
I think that's a good idea. I do. Sorry, my kid was asking me something. I was shaking my head for other reasons. But no, I do. I think that is a good idea. You think basic, we'll say minimum wage, what is $10 an hour now? If you make $100 donation, we need this many hours, or your vice versa. Like, it makes sense. Absolutely.
Yeah. I do love to see your example of just something like a 1-pager. I do think I could pull that off starting in 2022, something that I'm going out with a bang and saying, going forward, I think this is whoever I pass my torch off to. That could be something that they run with on that case, on getting this helping with the board. I do appreciate those, I like to give the advocate, the volunteer, or coming up with our own board motto and saying, this is what we live by, not only our mission statement, but what is it that the board lives by?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Good,
Yeah. I
good
will get
thinking.
you, I'll get you something.
Okay. I don't want to take anybody else. We could talk for hours, but those are some really great takeaways for Kelsey and I.
For sure.
Well,
Yeah.
you know the Women's Think Tank now, you know me. If there are specific questions like that, just email me. If you have like specific board questions, I have people I can direct you to that could say super quick, like here's a good answer to your question. Or if you have something about volunteer, I know a lot of people that do volunteer engagement. Or so if you have specific questions, just get with me and I will connect you to the right person.
Okay.
Great.
All right, everyone. It's about that time. We're going to wrap up because there's not a ton of us on right now. I won't announcements. I will make some, but I will make sure to send them out via email so everyone knows. But hold on, I want to make sure that I remind myself what the announcements are. So Q4 charity is Care Farm. Lindsay and Lisa, do you know if you guys are going to be able to make the October 4th at Care Farm, the meeting at Care Farm? It's on the Saturday.
Is that the second?
It is October 2nd at Care Farm.
Okay, I should be able to make that as of right now.
Well, yeah, and no worries. I was just I'm just gonna be double checking with everybody to see if that is something, and then I will be ladies, Monica and Kelsey, we have our next challenge is from Care Farm. They have a retreat that supports parents who have lost children. And so they have a farm out in Brooksville, Kentucky. It's near, I guess, near Maysville. And so they have glamps and they have like a little, all this like a pathway that you can walk down, and they provide retreats for these parents to connect and support each other and while they go through this. And so it's a great charity. And so they're going to be our Q4 this year. And instead of doing it like this time, we're going to brainstorm together in a group there at Care Farm. And so, yeah, I think that'll be a lot of fun. And so just trying to get a feel for who all's going to be there. So anyway, so that's that. And then the other thing is we are currently in recruitment for the 2022 Women's Think Tank. So if you know anyone that I will be hitting all of you ladies up, all the Women's Think Tank ladies up, to recommend 1 or 2 people. I've never promoted the Women's Think Tank. I've never had to get out there and say, hey, sign up. It's always been word of mouth, and it's always been by referral. And so, but each woman that goes through it, they tell at least one or 2 other people about it. Then we're going to have an event at Master Provisions. I believe I got that date out to you. If not, I will get it out within the next few days. It's going to be a service activity where I think it's October 18th. It's in the evening. We'll serve for the first little bit. All Women's Think Tank alumni are welcome to attend or encouraged to attend. And then potential like recruits are also coming. And so we'll serve together, and then we'll talk about the Women's Think Tank. So it should be really nice there at Master Provisions. But one little tidbit about next year is we're changing up the framework. It is no longer going to be a full year. It is going to be 6 months, so that we will do 2 cohorts in a year. Right now, with the craziness of life and COVID and just, you never know what tomorrow's going to bring, we are going to start doing a 6-month program. And so it'll still be the $100 to help cover costs and venues and all that, but we will have 2 a year. So each cohort will work with 2 different charities. We already have our first charity. I will let you guys know. It's going to be Covington Partners. And so it's a great organization. I'm super excited to work with them. And then, so anybody that that might like to be a part of the Women's Think Tank, 2022. There's 2 opportunities. And so I will get you that information out as well. So does anybody have any questions, anything they need from me?
Just
All right.
a quick
Oh,
question. The contacts I need to send to Kelsey and Monica, should I send that through you, Amanda? Can I
Yes, you
have
can
like
send it, yeah,
Daryl's
you can send it to
email
me
or?
and I will forward it on. And then
Okay.
Lindsay, I will bring this to you or I'll send it to you somehow.
Oh, thank you.
You got this adorable little tote bag full of all kinds of goodies from I Have Wings. There's a golf towel in here. There's a coloring book in here.
Nice.
There's, of course, jewelry. And all kinds of other little goodies in here, some socks, a beautiful crystal. They really gave you all
Oh,
kinds
thank you
of
so
really cool
much.
stuff. So I will email you and I'll get that to you. So
Thank you,
congratulations,
ladies.
Lindsay. Good job.
Thank you.
All right, you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I will be in touch.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
so
much for your time.
All right,
Bye.
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 Conversation. Take care.